Direct multimodal transport and its efficiency, rail and water transport and their efficiency, mixed river-sea transportation and its efficiency, rail and road transport and their efficiency. Direct multimodal transport and its efficiency. In the transport process, there are several ways of communication. Transport in a simpler vertical connection, performed by the same mode of transport in which the elements of transport are allowed, limit, and mixed communication in which goods are transported using several modes of transport. Mixed transport abroad is understood as a multimodal transport carried out by several modes of transport using common transport documents based on reducing the time of transportation, taking into account the exclusion of overflow of transport documents during the transportation of goods. Intermodal passengers that are moved using intermodal technologies without loading cargo from one transport to another are called intermodal. In this message, the cargo loaded at the primary point of loading is issued to another mode of transport in the same condition. There are several types of international technology: container and package cargo transportation, ferry crossings, trailering, piggyback transportation, carriage of wagons on a railway track on various footings of the track with transshipment on trolleys and so on. Currently, the bulk of freight passenger traffic is carried out with the participation of two or more cars. The car is connected to all types of transport. The share of motor transport in passenger transportation is particularly high. However, we cannot say that the conditions for introduction of transport modes are favorable. Interconnection points are transportation nodes such as various vehicles, ancient historical reasons, as well as geographical, topographical, and so on. Under the influence of natural conditions, the location and development of the main objects related to different types of transport hubs were isolated from each other. Therefore, these objects were very inconvenient to each other at transport hubs, had different capacities, did not have the necessary connections for transit flows. The legal and specific transport process was completed at the nodes. The transit passenger had to purchase a new ticket for another mode of transport to continue the trip to the network by one mode of transport, and the cargo owner had to unload the arrived cargo and reload it to the next transport. The issue of interconnection is still one of the most urgent. Currently, in many cases, loading and transferring passenger traffic from one transport to another leads to a lot of work, finances, and time, which of course increases the cost of transportation, extends the delivery time of goods and passengers, and slows down the turnover of rolling stock. It takes particularly long time to transfer cargo from rail to water transport and vice versa. As a result, progressive transportation and mixed relationships develop slowly. However, the complexity of the relationship depends not only on the planning and organization of work in transport hubs. All types of transport have their own characteristics. For example, a variety of traffic level and technical equipment, operating methods, information exchange systems. This specificity determines the process of interrelation between historical and natural geographical factors. Therefore, it is necessary to study the relationship between them extensively. Conditions for the relationship between different modes of transport. The interconnection of different modes of transport is agreed in the process of general transportation of goods and passengers on all modes of transport involved in the process of general transportation. As the analysis of the experience of studying this transportation process shows, the interconnection of different types of transport is associated with many circumstances of an economic, technical, organizational, and managerial nature. Long-term and annual and operational transportation plans should correspond to the volumes, terms, points of departure, names of organizations that send and receive cargo. The presence of similar transport plans in each of the interconnected vehicles allows you to prepare in advance the necessary permanent structures, shunting and reloading facilities, and ensure loading from one of the vehicles to another. However, in practice, there are many violations of the planning order. At the same time, there are stops of cargo and rolling stock, although there are technical possibilities at transport hubs. The difficulty of connecting points leads to a discrepancy between the planned nomenclature of goods of various types of transport, coordination of planning procedures of various modes of transport, including the nomenclature of goods, deadlines, for drawing up and approving projects is one of the tasks that must be solved immediately. Tariffs are important for the development of effective mixed relations. There is a need to create a harmonious tariff system that encourages the development of efficient multimodal transport. The technical aspect of the interconnection problem leads to a constructive harmonization of all elements involved in the implementation of multimodal transport. To do this, you must flows of goods and passengers mix ties relation sequences, as well as the ability to identify individuals and unit networks with bandwidth, harmonization of parameters of rolling stock of types of connecting vehicles in some cases, where the ship's compliance with the load capacity of the train, car, motor transport, and so on. Mission effective planning of transport hubs, ensuring parametric and geometric correspondence of trucks, rolling stock, loading equipment. We're talking about creating reliable, convenient communication systems between the persons of the operational apparatus that ensure the management of multimodal transport and transport hubs. The technical aspect of this issue is very complex, so it requires not only practical but also theoretical consideration. The technical aspect of the problem is need to submit it to a single order of cargo handling transport hubs. Separate technical processes should be clearly coordinated with each other. This applies to railway stations, road transport companies, ports, and so on. Currently, there are new forms of interaction of work, for example, unified technological processes. The experience of technological connections between sea, rail, river, and cars is currently very popular. The cultural system has a great influence on the progress of work with the results of operation work, large divisions and nodes of transport modes. Practice showed that the effectiveness of the management gives a positive result depending on the choice of specialists and their qualifications. Working in various workshops of a single network shift allows employees to correctly recognize each other, establish business relationships, and increase reliability and responsibility between employees and operational apparatus. This issue of interconnection is also of great importance for improving passenger transport. All cases concerning freight transport will also depend on passenger transport. At the same time, the requirements for the extra execution of the traffic schedule of transport units of various types of transport are in the first place. Harmonization of passenger transport schedules is achieved for each type of transport. On the one hand, considerable experience has been accumulated in coordinating the schedules of trains, ships, and planes, and on the other hand, buses. Within the license in the volume of mixed traffic, there is an increase in transshipment operation to reduce losses. A lot of work is being done to mechanize labor-intensive operations. Direct transportation is also developing. However, it is difficult or economically impractical to transport goods in direct communications. In this regard, much attention is paid to optional operations. Non-transshipment methods are defined as a mode of transportation at the point of transition to a new mode of transport, along with a loaded capacity. Currently, the system of container and package transportation is widely used as transshipment messages. The idea of a container system is that cargo is transferred from the mode of transport to another at its loaded capacity to the starting and ending points. For example, container transport and exchange points from one mode of transport to another. Here, the container performs the function of packaging and storage of goods. The value of the batch system expands the load position. For example, it forms a package using flat pallets at the replacement point. Packages are reloaded using dust loaders. As a result, loading operations are accelerated. The idea of container transportation appeared in the 19th century. The efficiency of container transport is determined by many achievements of this system. The technical base of the container system consists of a fleet of containers, rolling stock, reloading, stationary structures located at container reloading and unloading points. To speed up the formation of package forming machines and equipment have been created. Cargo transportation is allowed with packages about $1 billion US. However, only 20% is actually transported, which of course is due to the lack of pallets and other means of packaging, as well as auto-cording and packing machines. To develop and improve the efficiency of package transportation, a general standardization of packaging tools, methods of forming packages, and their process is necessary. organization and management of container and package transportation. The new methods of transportation had led to the emergence of new forms of traffic organization. Container terminals are being created at large transport hubs. Container points are being created at small hubs, stations. At the same time, containers are accepted from the sender for transportation and issued to the recipients. Transportation registration and financial calculations are made. Containers are sorted and reloaded from the one transport to another. Module 2, branch ACS of transport production. Thank you for your attention.